I'm Nikki with Olive and Lace, and I'm showing you how to make these cute little dainty bow tiebacks. And I show you how to make it with the twine, how to glue on the stretch fabric, and using silk that I dye. And I'm showing you how to use it with 2 different sizes of forks. And I will have on my website, it's like a surprise bag, but it will include enough tieback materials to make yourself 10 tiebacks. You'll get lots of colors, and I will also include stretch. I'll have them pre-cut and everything, and I'll have the twine pre-cut so that you'll know exactly how long to make and then copy it. Go out and buy your own materials, measure it up to mine, and then you'll get the exact sizes that you need to make the bands. And then I will be making more silk and all that. I have a ton of silk, a ton. So I'm going to be digging into my stash, and that's what will be in the surprise bags. And then down the road, I will be making some more so you can buy the silk by the yard and carry on making your own little tiebacks. All right, we're gonna start with gluing on the stretch ties to the twine. So I have my twine cut out. I have these. Obviously you want the stretch going this way, and they're about 1/2 inch wide, give or take. So you're gonna start with just laying it out like that. You're just gonna put a decent sized blob, about a pea-sized amount in there, and just set your twine right in the middle. Fold one piece over and then roll it over, and the glue should just catch on, so it'll be like that. So let's do it on the other side too. Put a decent amount, and right in the center, fold it over very carefully without touching the glue, and then you just roll it. And then the glue will just collect all the way around the fabric, and just let it sit there and dry before tugging on it. But otherwise, these are pretty strong unless you reef really hard on it, but they last really well. So there's that. Okay, and now we're gonna do the fork bow. So you're gonna want a fork, obviously. This one makes a 3/4 inch bow, so it's about 3/4 of an inch wide. And this one is 1 inch. And so it just depends on the size you want, but we're gonna make a fork bow with both, just so you can see. The silk that I made, I cut this, I dye it, I do everything to make it this way. So this is about 1 inch wide. So I'll do the big one first. Okay, so we're gonna lay the fabric over, and you just want about 1 inch, 1.5 inch tail here. So you're gonna hold that really tight with your thumb here. Then you're going to wrap the other piece around and go over top of the tail. And just make sure your fabric is all flat there. So it'll look like this. You're basically making a little cross. So you want it to cross over, oh, there's a fuzz. Cross over here and then go this way. So now you're going to cut it here. If I didn't have such a long piece, I would just feed it all the way through, but I have a really long piece I'm working with. So you want to leave about a 4-inch tail just to make sure that you have enough to go around. And as you make them more and more, you'll start to figure out that you know the exact length that you need, but I like to just give a little more. Okay, so here you're going to put the end of your fabric into the center piece underneath all of that. And then you're gonna flip it over, pull that out, and now you're gonna come back around, go through the middle on top. Then you're gonna hold it with 2 fingers here, and then you're gonna see the loop at the bottom that you made. And now you're just gonna pull that through. right there. Okay, so keeping pressure, always keep your pressure on this where you're holding this tail. You're holding all of your fabric together while you're tying it. So you have to really focus on this thumb and make sure that it's always tight there. And then you pull it through, and you want to kind of pull it down a little so that you don't have a big knot up top. You want to angle down just a little bit and make sure that it's nice and snug. So once you have it all done, you can just hold on to your fork, make sure that this side is tight, this side's tight, and it'll look like that on the other side. So now you just pull it up. This is the front of it. And I usually just pull it, make it look a little cuter and fluffier as much as you can. And then pull, I just hold the fabric right here and then cut it straight off. And then just make the tails as long as you want. But that is with the 1-inch fork. So I will do the 3/4 of an inch and we'll just compare it. Then you can just see what you prefer. All right, so we're just gonna try to do this one a little bit faster, but I'll still show it again, just in case. Okay, so 1.5 inches here, and wrap it around, go over top, pull down, again, pressure, cut 4 inches down, right in the center here, flip it around, find it in the back, pull it around the front, and then through the loop. Always keeping tension there. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, so now that it's all secure, I usually just hold it just about here and then pull it just to make sure that it's even, because sometimes when you're tying the knot, it might slip over to this side or this side, so just securing it so it's right in the middle, and then flipping it over, so this is obviously the front of your bow, and then just give it a little floof, and snip it there. All right, so we'll see, let's see the comparison. So this is the 3/4 of an inch, and this one is a 1 inch. So pretty decent little difference there, hey? Little and bigger, but they're still really tiny, but this one's just really tiny. So you can use whichever fork you want. Okay, and now we're just gonna glue it onto the twine stretch band that we just made. And this is my board. I just found a really cheap piece of wood. It was like one of those home signs from the dollar store, which is right here. And I cut it, and I cut out a piece of my silicone placemat and super glued it on here. And how wide is this? Let me just see. Okay, so this is about 6 inches wide, and you just make it however long you want. I think it's about 12 inches, 10 to 12 inches long. This way, especially when you're gluing twine, if you try to glue it on glass or wood or plastic, it's going to get stuck. Like if you have hot glue on any of that, it's probably gonna rip your bow right off. Like it's not gonna come off easily. So if you can find a silicone placemat, this black thing right here is also silicone. I like to keep my glue gun on there for safety so I don't glue all my stuff. But yeah, I'll show you how it peels off of there so easily. Okay, so I find the center of my band here, right here. And I'm just going to center it as best as I can on the board. And then you can tell after, hold on, I'm just tying it on, you can't see right now. All right, so now it's on. And we're going to bop in that little glue. Okay. If you have a hot glue gun, don't judge me. You know that they get ratty. There's nothing I can do about that. Okay, so I'm gonna use the really tiny one just for fun. Okay, so now I have the center, and you want to do just like a finger in the middle. So, or you could put your bow here too. So you want it so that there's a piece of glue behind each fold, but you don't want a piece of glue in the middle. So you want to just go here, just a tiny little amount, less is more. And then you're going to skip the middle, and you're going to do another tiny little dot. And then press down very gently. Make sure it's lined up before you officially press that down. But then once it's down, then you can, but don't squeeze it in, otherwise the glue will catch the front layer of your bow and it'll make it look really flat. So just gently tap it on there. You don't have to do anything extreme. So here is your little micro bow tie back. There. And you'll see the back. There's no big gaps of glue there, because if you put it in the middle, you'll end up with glue right here and down here, and it just looks messy. So yeah, that is how I make a little bow tie back.